As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was that was on my watch. Yeah, I said, does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care? If so,
It is deadline day.
There you go.
I was walking down the street.
A bunch of trades have already happened.
A bunch.
We got Josh Hader
Mm-hmm.
to the Padres for Taylor Rogers. You know who Taylor Rogers is related to, Bryant?
Aaron Rodgers.
Not
No.
correct. Another baseball player? Venture a guess.
Frank Rogers.
Name very similar to Taylor. Silence is good for radio.
Baylor.
Trevor
Rogers.
Rogers.
I didn't know they were brothers.
They're brothers.
Wow.
Both struggling this year. So
Both are struggling this year.
in good company, I suppose. Frankie Montas
To the Yanks.
to the Yankees. Trey Mancini to the Astros.
Boom, boom.
As well as Christian Vasquez to the Astros.
Mhm. He got traded like minutes before the game started last
He was
night.
taking BP.
Mm-hmm. And they all kind of like cornered him. He looked so sad.
He was trying to process what happened,
Yeah.
and then they pulled him into the locker room as though they were protecting the president.
Mm-hmm.
Austin Riley also got a big extension yesterday. So we'll talk about that stuff. But first, I want to talk about a film that came out, I guess, last week or 2 weeks ago, I suppose. It's called Facing Nolan. It's a documentary about Nolan Ryan, directed by the first directorial debut. Bradley Jackson is the guy's name. This is from Jasmine Lane in the Austin Chronicle, saying, ultimately, Facing Nolan paints a picture of a baseball great with broad strokes, but they cohere into a warm-hearted image that baseball fans and their uninitiated families can enjoy together. I watched it 2 days ago. It was excellent.
It's fantastic.
You watched it yesterday.
I watched it last night, yeah.
It's a veritable who's who of featured players
Oh,
in
yeah.
it.
Anybody who was a big name in the day was in this.
Or even after the day.
That's true.
Or like at the end of his career.
Yeah.
Craig Biggio, Rod Carew, Randy Johnson, Pete Rose, Cal Ripken Jr., George Brett, Roger Clemens, Dave Winfield, Bobby Valentine, Jeff Torborg, Pudge Rodriguez, Mike Maddox, Steve Bichelle, Bobby Witt, father of
Bobby Witt Jr.
yeah, that's your reference
There
to
you
him, and George W. Bush, former
Yeah,
president of the
GW
United
was in
States.
there.
W was in it, so it was excellent, and it really paints a picture for. I make a lot of jokes on the radio about how Nolan Ryan's a compiler because if you gave me 40 years to pitch in the major leagues, I'd probably have all those records too. Probably not though.
Yeah.
But it was It was really an incredible movie.
It was really good.
Not only there's a lot of crap documentaries, especially in sports, going around out there. For instance, the Jordan documentary just wasn't particularly well done. This captain is terrible.
I haven't seen a minute of the captain.
It's just not very good. There's no documentary filmmaking being done. There's no documentary films are traditionally journalistic. There's no journalism being done. There's no
Right.
story being done. It's just like, remember this? Yeah, you ever seen South Park? You ever watch South Park?
Yeah.
They have the member berries where it's like, remember Star Wars? Remember? That's what these documentaries basically
Yeah.
are. Remember Michael Jordan?
They
Remember
give him the iPad.
Remember Scottie Pippen? Remember? Yeah, so it's just all terrible. This was excellent. Really
That was
well
really
done.
good.
Well made. Jerry Grote, who was the Mets catcher when Nolan Ryan came into the
Yeah.
major leagues, said that people were saying he was throwing 101, 102. He said no, it was 108 miles an hour. He was the first guy they ever did like radar gun on
Yeah.
with the primitive days of the original radar gun. They clocked him at 101. They said if you take it and switch it to today's standards, it was actually 108 miles an hour.
Ridiculous.
You think he was throwing 108 miles an hour?
No.
I don't think any human has ever thrown 108 miles an hour ever.
No.
108?
But makes a good story.
You think you could hit Nolan Ryan today?
No.
He is 75 years
No.
old.
Certainly cannot hit Nolan Ryan today. No chance.
At 75, you don't think you could get a hit on
No.
Nolan Ryan?
I was a defensive wizard when I played the game of baseball. I was not as much an offensive weapon.
Brian,
I bunted.
Brian, this
a
is
lot.
Brian,
so he probably would have nailed me in the head,
called
according to the
documentary.
To the
yeah,
documentary.
he didn't like
he would
guys
have drilled
bunting.
me.
They called you Bryant Bunts. That was your nickname.
Yeah, that was my nickname.
Mm-hmm. You don't think you could? He's 75, Brian. You couldn't get a hit off of a 75-year-old man. No one.
I also haven't picked up a stick in 6 years.
Again, he's
70
8
years.
Actually, a question for the text line.
Yeah.
901-360-8255. Could you get a hit off of
Nolan Ryan today?
75-year-old Nolan Ryan today. I saw a video.
He looks good.
He doesn't look bad.
No.
I saw a video of him 10 years ago throwing out a first pitch at Rangers Ballpark. It was 2010, so 12 years ago, I guess. He was, so if he's 75 now, he was like 65, 63. He threw it, didn't even try. Big windup, threw it 85 miles an hour at least. 65-year-old man.
Could not hit that.
Yeah, I mean, that's gas.
That is gas.
I couldn't,
at 65?
Yeah, I couldn't hit 65-year-old Nolan Ryan, but 75-year-old Nolan Ryan.
Maybe.
I think I got a chance.
I don't think I could hit him. I liked, and I don't remember who it was that was talking, but they said that, especially when he was with the Astros, like it was impossible to pull him from the mound.
Oh, he would get angry.
He'd get angry, and he would basically, like, the pitching coach would come out and be like,
"It was
hey."
I don't think Bobby Valentine was his coach for the Astros, but Bobby Valentine said, he goes, "I'd never want to go out there."
Yeah, nobody wanted to go out there and talk to him because
No.
he'd just be like, "Get that F off my mound."
Yeah, he'd be angry. He would say,
I loved that.
There was a quote in there. He goes, "I didn't even like myself when I was on the mound." And the end of the tenure with the Astros, when he's going through negotiations with the owner that doesn't want to give him money and thinks he's spoiled and overpaid, his temper, that the videos they showed of his temper in the dugout,
oh man,
I taken down on water coolers, on the bench. He's kicking everything. He did not look like a pleasant person to be around back then. But really unbelievable. Randy Johnson had a quote in it that I love. First of all, 108 miles an hour. I just don't think I can emphasize that enough. Is multiple people in the movie said he was throwing 108 miles an hour. I don't think any human has ever done that, but if he did, that's incredible. Randy Johnson said, "I'm second to him in strikeouts, and he has more than 1,000 on me." That is just an incredible statistic right there. Also, no Cy Youngs.
That's incredible. I didn't even realize that.
Zero. And they asked Rod Carew, they asked all these guys, the filmmakers, how many Cy Youngs do you think?
They're all like
Nolan
three,
Ryan? It's like
four.
Three. Yeah, he's got at least
zero.
three. No, the answer was zero.
That's ridiculous.
None. He had 383 strikeouts in a season. Didn't win the Cy Young. That's the most strikeouts ever in a season.
3 no-hitters in like 16 months or something
that's
like
right.
that.
2 in one season.
Ridiculous.
He had 1 the next year, 3 no-hitters. What, he had 7 all-time no-hitters, right?
It was something like that.
7. Greg would know.
7.
How many no-hitters did Nolan Ryan have? 7?
7,
yeah. 7.
So, and 3 of them came in 16-month spans.
Unbelievable. It was 51 records he has in Major League Baseball history. He was the first American professional sports, maybe, I don't know about European soccer, but certainly American professional sports, the first $1 million man. The first $1 million contract.
That was
in all of sports, not only baseball, all of sports. So really groundbreaking in that regard. When he was let go from, so he started with the Mets. He goes
Miracle Mets.
Yeah, 69. Yeah. He won the NLCS.
Yeah.
He was on the mound when they won the NLCS. And then he goes to Los Angeles or Anaheim, I suppose, at that point, California Angels. And they credit their pitching coach with really making his delivery more consistent. And I was surprised to know, I mean, obviously, even today, you'll have a lot of people consider wins to be a pitching statistic. Mike Wilbon famously didn't want to give Jacob deGrom the Cy Young a couple years ago, even though he had had like a 1.2 ERA for the year, but he wasn't winning enough games, so he didn't deserve a Cy Young, according to Michael Wilbon. So the Angels GM, I suppose, or maybe their owner at the time, I can't remember who it was, when they were negotiating either keeping him in Anaheim or going to Houston, he was like, well, we don't need to sign this guy to this big money. I mean,
I could go get 2 6 and 7 pitchers.
Yeah, he was 16 and 10. I could go get 16 and 14. I could go get 2 8 and 7 pitchers and equal the same thing. What a ridiculous thing to say.
Undervalued. Again.
Yeah, seriously, and I'm sitting here telling people he's a compiler. 51 records, some of them walks, some of them like home runs given up, but still for the amount of times he pitched, that's still 51 total records is incredible. His 5,000th strikeout was on Ricky Henderson. Which is crazy.
I love Ricky Henderson. Have you read his new book? Or I guess it's not his new book.
Nolan's
or
book. Ricky
Henderson. They just came out with a new Ricky Henderson book. I've been wanting to read. I haven't read
Swiped 100 bags multiple times in a season.
Yeah. Love
When he was like 44, he stole like 28 bags, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
Because if someone in today's game steals 28 bases, we're like, oh, this guy's a problem.
This kid's good.
This guy's going to be a problem here when he gets on first base. And Ricky Henderson was 40-something when he did that.
Well, that's kind of like Nolan Ryan. I mean,
kind of like Nolan Ryan.
40s.
That's why I thought it was interesting that he struck out Nolan Ryan with his 5,000 strikeout, because two guys that played far beyond the age you would expect them to. I think they kind of ended with this story. Not ended, but it was towards the end with Robert Ventura when he charged the mound. Who did he play with? The White Sox, right?
Yeah. It was the White Sox.
It was Rangers, White Sox, and Pudge Rodriguez is interviewed, and he says he comes out there and he goes, it didn't even look like Ventura wanted to fight. He just did it because the whole team was like, if you get hit, we're charging. So he kind of slowly charges out there, and Nolan Ryan just gets him in a headlock and starts just punching it. Kind of gave him a noogie. It was a little more of a noogie than a punch, but he was really throwing some haymakers. And then Robert Ventura gets kicked out of the game, and Nolan Ryan gets to stay in the game.
Yeah.
Really, I can't. I know we just kind of went through the whole history of Nolan Ryan, but I can't.
It was a really good documentary.
I can't recommend enough this movie. Nolan Ryan's obviously his wife Ruth.
She was awesome in the movie.
Plays a prominent role. His family.
And I also liked when they were talking to his granddaughters and stuff, and they were
who's the most competitive person?
Like,
in your family?
Ruth, my grandma. She's way more competitive.
Meemaw's most competitive.
And they even were like, you'd think one of the greatest baseball players is my grandfather, but no, it's my grandma. And I also liked what I thought was really cool, because you don't hear this a lot when it comes to no hitters and such. And I can't remember exactly who it was for the Astros, and they were talking about I'm sitting at third base, I hope the ball does not get hit to me.
With all those
and the
no-hitters.
outfielder, and so I thought, because nobody ever talks about the fielding aspect of it, of how the pitcher's having a good game, but also there's a lot of fielders who have to make plays in order to have a no-hitter. And so I thought it was cool to get kind of that perspective a
I
little
didn't
bit.
write down who the right fielder was, but that makes me think of the right fielder for the Houston Astros at the time for that no-hitter.
And he made that little
he made
lunging catch at his knees.
Shoestring catch, basically going opposite direction of his glove side. And he makes a little shoestring catch and kind of scoops the ball. He had the video saved on his phone while they were talking about it, and then told a story about after the game when the guy's just thrown a no-hitter and all this stuff. 5 minutes after the game, he goes up and talks to him. He goes, great catch,
Which
man.
is insane.
That's crazy. And he said it was the most heartwarming experience of his life. It's his highlight of his baseball career, which is doing something for somebody else to get a no-hitter. But it is a team accomplishment at the end of it. There's always one or two outs in a no-hitter that really solidify. Because you got to make a couple amazing plays to get those outs. A couple more, sections from reviews here. Brandon Towns, who writes for RogerEbert.com, says producer Bradley Jackson's directorial debut, Facing Nolan, is a baseball fan's dream come true. With the screams and roars of the crowd, the energy of the games, and the bullish presence of the legendary Nolan Ryan, director Jackson makes you truly understand what it is like to be a fan.
That was his first ever movie.
Directorial debut. I think he's a producer. I think he's a pretty well-known producer in Hollywood. But it was his first time he's ever directed anything.
Really good. For
and documentaries are journalistic in a lot of ways. They're not always movie making. So this was really well done. Joe Layden of Variety says, if Nolan Ryan had never existed, Facing Nolan strongly suggests no screenwriter would ever get away with making that character up.
That's fair.
It was unbelievable. It's really well done. I can't recommend it enough. It's not available for streaming anywhere. I think it might still be in certain theaters, not in the Memphis area though. I got it on Amazon. I know people.
I got it on Apple.
Yeah, Brian bought it on
$5.
the app. You can rent it for $4 or $5. You could buy it. I think it's like $20.
Yeah.
If you like baseball, if you don't like baseball, I can't recommend enough. This is a great movie. It's heartwarming. It's fun for everybody, whole family.
Yeah.
And if you do like baseball, even if you know Nolan Ryan, you're gonna love it.
Well, and also one thing that I noticed, and maybe I just don't watch a lot of documentaries, but I feel like in some documentaries you have a narrator who basically tells the whole story, and then they kind of sprinkle in interviews with people. This one was complete opposite. It was like you barely heard the narrator, and it was just all these guys that played with him, coached him, just talking about Nolan. I thought that was really cool.
The story, I think that's a sign of a good documentary, honestly. The story was told. It didn't have to be driven by someone telling their own narrative. It was driven by the people that were around him and him himself and his wife.
Yeah.
It was really well done. I can't recommend it enough. It got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, I think.
Which is hard to do.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, I don't know what the Michael Jordan documentary got. Probably pretty high.
I wonder what it got. Let's see.
Yeah, but it's really well done. I can't recommend it enough. Like I said, it's unbelievable. Someone like me who wasn't alive for when Nolan Ryan was playing, but sees statistics and sees all the total numbers. They're certainly eye-opening, but really they had rare footage and all
the high school footage was really cool to see.
Him in high school, they had so much incredible stuff. They sync up radio broadcasts with television broadcasts. It really well done. I cannot recommend it enough.
Last Dance got 97% Rotten.
Yeah, that's a terrible movie.
95.
And also, it's like 8 parts. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This guy pitched more years than any player in the history of baseball. The movie's an hour and 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
And they had to take 8 parts to tell the story of Michael Jordan. I get it. 6 championships. I think it was only 5 parts, wasn't it? It wasn't 8 parts.
No, I think it was 7 or 8 parts.
It was 8 parts,
long.
and it was pandemic television. So
yeah, I mean that was nice to have in the pandemic. I will say that.
I hate that movie. And you got the captain on now too. So if you're really,
do you know how many parts the captain is?
5 or 4. I don't know how many parts the captain is. Too many. More than one. It really should.
Sure.
Why is it more than one? Nowadays with Netflix and like Hulu and all these really,
I'm sorry. The Last Dance was 10 part.
Oh, jeez.
All 50 minutes long.
This was an hour and 40 minutes for a guy that played longer than anyone ever.
This was 10 hours of Michael Jordan.
Most strikeouts in history. They got it all in an hour, 40 minutes.
And it was brilliant.
Just for reference for everybody.
Right.
Nowadays on Netflix, the whole thing is how long can we drag something out? It's,
how many seasons can we do? How many episodes in a season can we do?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Terrible.
That's Netflix for you.
But this is a good documentary. Can't recommend it enough. Before I want to spend the next segment doing baseball and all the trades and everything. So before we go to the next segment, I found this interesting talking about, it's camp season, NFL training camp season, which is an exciting time because I know everyone's kind of itching for football here. There's not
Thursday, a Hall of Fame game.
That's right. Thursday's a Hall of Fame game between the Jaguars and the Raiders, right?
Raiders.
The Las Vegas Raiders, who they did valuations yesterday. I saw on Sportico. They did valuations for every NFL team. The Raiders had the largest jump, tied with the Rams, I believe, in value of their franchise. The average NFL value, $4 billion.
Weren't the Cowboys number 1?
Cowboys were number 1.
Cowboys.
Unbelievable. And they had the figure for what Jerry paid for it. Really unbelievable numbers in that thing. But what I was going to talk about was camp starting. And, you got reports from all over camps that, like, if I follow a lot of the Dolphins stuff, they're talking about how good Tua looks. And Tyreek Hill certainly telling everybody how good Tua looks. If you go to Titans camp, the camera's largely on Derrick Henry coming back and how he looks. I saw a video on Twitter of him running the football yesterday. But one interesting one that there's a quarterback controversy brewing in Pittsburgh mainly. They drafted Kenny Pickett, who was touted.
Hands Pickett.
That's right. Touted and regarded as being NFL-ready quarterback. And it's just the first week last week. But according to Alan Saunders, who writes about the Steelers, and Mark Caboli, that writes about the Steelers. This is the first time learning of these guys' names, as you can hear. But Pickett had a rough week. This is from Alan Saunders. Rookies often struggle throughout the early process of training camp, especially in positions where a lot of mental processing is required. Pickett seems to know the plays, and his mechanics look just fine. It's just a matter of reps, experience, and confidence. But he did not look good in week 1.
Well, yeah, I saw one day when I was coming in for sports time, I was on Twitter, getting ready, and the first thing I saw was Kenny Pickett throwing like 2 interceptions back to back.
This is from Mark Caboli. It has become quite clear that the third-team defensive front 7 is way further along than the offensive front 7. So it could just be he's playing with the third team in offense, but that's really not why I want to bring up the Steelers. The reason I want to bring up the Steelers, and Mark Caboli wrote for The Athletic, he said, my 10 observations from day 3 of camp. So, from week 1 of camp. And 2 names were mentioned that I found interesting. Anthony Miller, former Memphis Tiger, former CBHS Purple Wave.
Purple Wave, that's it.
And also former Memphis Tiger that was drafted this year, by the Steelers. Calvin Austin III. So this is former general manager Kevin Colbert had a knack for drafting receivers. Sure, it's only 1 week, but George Pickens, who was also drafted by him, Pickens and Calvin Austin III could make his final class the best effort if the two keep up what they're doing. Austin had a 61-yard touchdown on day one and caught a handful of passes on Thursday. Everyone was waiting for the diminutive 5'11", wink wink, 189-pound receiver to take his first big hit. That came on the second day of the team period when Trubisky connected with him over the middle, only for some defensive player named Kazee to put a hard hit on Austin that folded him over and dislodged the ball. Mind you, there's no hitting during the first week of practice. Austin popped up, dusted himself off literally before returning to the huddle, showing no ill effects of the hit. Tomlin was a little taken aback by the physicality. I can't do a Mike Tomlin impression, but I'd love to.
Right.
I'd rather say whoa than sick 'em. And in that instance, whoa, Tomlin said. That's the quote from Mike Tomlin coming from practice. Also, so that's great for Calvin Austin.
It's awesome for Calvin Austin. It sounds like a lot of people like him up there. I mean, I've seen several interviews with him since he got there, and I think a lot of people are enamored by his speed. I mean, we all know how fast he is, how he can get out and go, former track star. But I think his speed is kind of getting a lot of attention from people up in Pittsburgh.
He was one of the fastest guys at the combine too, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, he won like several track and field competitions at Memphis. Like he is like a legitimate like track and field guy.
He's a runner. He's a track star. George Pickens, though, also drafted by them from University of Georgia, Hoover High School in Birmingham.
Oh, Hoover.
Or I guess in Hoover, I suppose, not in Birmingham, but the Birmingham area. So those are two rookies at Steeler camp that are really impressed so far. Also, getting back to the quarterbacks, now that we talked about the Memphis guys, Mason Rudolph apparently looks really good. Trubisky has left the door open, it says. Trubisky hasn't been bad by any stretch. This is from... forgot the guy's name, Alan Saunders. Trubisky hasn't been bad by any stretch, but he has not put the kind of separation between himself and Rudolph that would shut down the competition early. There is really no reason to panic for Trubisky. He has plenty of time to improve and eventually secure the job, but a chance to end the competition before it really got started was squandered. Talking about Rudolph has been the most consistent performer of the Steelers' three quarterbacks for the first week. And while that may be a big surprise to some, it shouldn't be to those who are regular observers of him and their team's practices. Steelers fans have seen Rudolph start 10 games. They don't think much of his abilities. But the players, coaches, scouts, and members of the media that watch him at practice have been a lot more positive with his potential.
He's a practice guy.
That's what they say. I guess it's just different when you get in the game and there's the stress
the lights
of it.
Are on.
Another defense coming at you. You got to make adjustments to the line of scrimmage. But that's Mike Tomlin has always talked really highly of Rudolph. He's always said that he was going to take the job when Ben Roethlisberger left. But Mike Tomlin also, it's important to note, has said he is not going to allow Trubisky to look over his shoulder, saying there is no competition. It's Trubisky's job. We don't want to do like this. This day you were good. This day you weren't good. We're going to pull you in second-team reps. He just doesn't think that's...
Well, that's probably good. I mean, that's a former top 10 pick who's kind of lost a lot of confidence throughout his career. So, I mean, put him in that position where he can gain confidence before the start of the season. I like that move.
If anybody knows what he's doing, it is Mike Tomlin. Next up, we're going to talk about MLB trades.
You have opinions?
Yes.
Of course you do. Everyone does. Hit us up on the AutoZone listener line. 360-8255. 360-8255.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be done at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You know how close that is. It's right there at Highway 78, Lamar Avenue, and Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi. I say it because they always come up with new innovations. And right now, when we've had all these shortages on new cars, Homer Skelton Hyundai is always going to come through for you. You won't pay more than the sticker price for a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's Chris True's pledge. You'll never pay more than sticker price. Those other guys, they could charge you a whole lot more for that new car because they know there's a shortage. That never happens at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's part of the philosophy and the team that's been together for about 15 years now. You want the best of service? You want the best of products? It's the combination and the trust you'll always get from the best guys around, Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. I love how Memphis loves golf, even city government. Overton Park is getting redone, Pine Hill is being completely renovated, and Fox Meadows is getting new greens. Public golf has never been better. There's a new app for your phone, Memphis Public Links, where you can make tee times, view special offers, get tournament information, find out the latest golf news, and virtually stay in touch. You can download it at the Apple App Store. There are several new golf tournaments this year, including the Mayor's Cup, and there will be a Player of the Year based on performances throughout the season. You can't beat Memphis golf. Galloway is in perfect shape. Audubon, right in the heart of the Poplar Corridor, is a true test of golf for any level of player. The city has invested in public golf like never before. So, if you haven't played a city course in a while, try it. I assure you, you're gonna love it. Memphis Public Links.
Attention homeowners, energy efficiency regulations are changing in 2023. New heating and cooling systems may rise drastically in price. If your HVAC system is old or inefficient, now is the time to buy from Conway Services with outstanding financing options and savings up to $2,600. Conway Services is ready to save you money and give you comfort. Call 384-3511 or visit conwayservices.net to schedule your appointment today. License number 64210, 64365, EAS MS 19668.
8 years. Do you want to send the current district attorney back for 8 years with her record? Amy Wyrick has the worst prosecutorial record in the state. She cheats to win by hiding evidence and can't be trusted. Attorney Steve Mulroy will fight to end disparities and bias in the Shelby County criminal justice system. He will prioritize violent crimes and work to secure justice for the victim. Vote Steve Mulroy for district attorney. Paid for by People for Fairness and Justice PAC and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hey, I got one of my best customers, Mark, here.
Hey, Montana.
Hey, Mark, tell Sports 56 fans the deal of the century that I gave you at Sleep Cheap.
Yeah, I just bought the whole family some new mattresses. Our backs thank you. These are professional people to work with, good quality mattresses and box springs, and they under-promised and over-delivered. We got the Sports 56 deal. The hybrid mattress and box springs regularly $1,000 for $599, and the wife and I got the king-size mattress normally $1,500 for $999.
Mark, it was a pleasure working with you. Glad you and your family are happy with the quality of our memory foam. Now I'm extending this manager's suite deal to my fellow Sports 56 fans. Check out our 3 locations, 6330 Winchester, Memphis, 1069 Goodman Road in Horn Lake, and West Memphis, 1701 North Missouri Street. Also wanted to let you know Sleep Cheap mattress sets starting at $199 to $4,000. We have twin XLs, queen, king, California King, we got it all. And again, guys, take advantage of this sweet Sports 56 hybrid mattress queen box deal. Normally $1,000, we got it for $599. We also have the King, normally $1,500, selling for $999. See y'all at Sleep Cheap.
Mid-South Hobbies is passionate about your hobby. They have your favorite model airplanes, boats, race cars, and trains to build with brands you know like Traxxas, Lionel, and LGB. Mid-South Hobbies has all the accessories to make them complete and thousands of paint colors to make them shine. You can reach the sky with rockets and kites or reach deep into your imagination with action figures, comic book superheroes, and fantasy quest games. Get passionate about your hobby at Mid-South Hobbies, 4862 Summer Avenue.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
The last time a Braves hitter had as many as 10 homers and 400 batting average in a single month was the only time. It was Chipper Jones' prolific July 1999 performance. It was a springboard to him winning National League MVP. The next guy to do it was this July. It was Austin Riley.
Hometown guy. Hometown hero.
Olive Branch.
Olive Branch. Well, I think actually he was born in Memphis.
Wow.
And then went down to Olive Branch. Hometown.
If true, yeah. Austin Riley might have been born in Memphis, according to Brian Dacus. He signed a huge contract yesterday. Do you have the figures in front of you, Brian?
Yeah, $212 million for 10 years. $212 million for 10 years.
$212 million for 10 years. Mm-hmm. That's incredible. They got a lot of good players on their payroll now. That includes, it's kind of a similar deal to what Matt Olson got.
That's the most lucrative deal in Braves team history, which is wild.
What do you mean lucrative?
I don't know. It just says
most lucrative.
I guess the biggest contract they've given a player.
Interesting.
That's what ESPN's article says. The most lucrative deal in team history, and a surprise given that he had 3 additional seasons under club control.
Well, you want to extend a guy that's hitting that well, and he certainly has become incredible. Kyle Wright says about him, we're watching a superstar. Anytime he steps in the box, you're just wondering how far he's going to hit it and how hard he's going to hit it. Man, he's just locked in, and I'm glad he's on our team. Riley is hitting .299 this year with 29 bombs, 67 RBIs. That was through 99 games, so it might be even more now that he's gone through
68 RBIs
68 RBIs now. Second in the NL and fourth in the majors in homers and slugging percentage, and sixth in the majors in OPS, trailing only in the National League, Paul Goldschmidt.
Wow.
So maybe a two-horse race for NL MVP, maybe more than that. But certainly those two guys are in it. Paul Goldschmidt probably leading the way. Nolan Arenado not far behind.
Well, and this guy was an alternate, a late addition to the All-Star roster.
Austin Riley was, which is incredible. It's a joke.
Crazy.
But then again, you get good company because Tommy Edman didn't make it. That's true. Knowing the work, this is what Austin Riley says, just knowing the work I'm putting in before games, the homework on the pitchers and stuff is coming together, and I actually seeing results out on the field is really nice. This comes after he started he came out to a hot start. He hit like 350 when he first came into the league, went into a little bit of a slump, became somewhat of a whiffer. He was swinging a lot at like outside sliders, pitches that looked like they could be in the zone, trailing out. Now he's spitting on that stuff. He said, this is what Riley says, is a great quote here. Just trying to keep my head down and keep working. That's a great quote right there. All you can do. Kyle Wright continued, you can't throw him a strike. I feel like anything you throw in there, he's doing damage. He's not just getting hits, he's doing damage. Even more impressive. He's been so impressive with his at-bats. He's playing great defense. He is doing it all. So well-deserved right there. Braves may be poised to make a little run down the stretch here. Not only in that regard, but they traded Will Smith yesterday as well.
The actor.
Different Will Smith. The postseason hero that is really the only good games I've ever seen him pitch were in the postseason. He's terrible in the regular season, hasn't been very good this year, and it seems like the Astros were willing to take a shot on postseason performance from Will Smith. So that's the Braves news as it goes. Other news in trade, we talked about Frankie Montas going to the Yankees. Keith Law, who
he's the prospects guy.
Watches a lot of prospects for the Athletics, and he kind of grades a lot of these trades because so many of them have prospects. He thinks Oakland got swindled. But
really?
But Montas coming off injury, his 2 starts after injury were not great, and he doesn't think they got back nearly enough. He says there's like high upside for Waldachuk, but he says the big wild card is Luis Medina, who throws 100 miles an hour, has the makings of 4 above-average pitches, but he has always had trouble throwing strikes. But I think he's a pretty young guy as well.
Yeah, he's 23.
23. They also got J.P. Sears, who he says is not very good, probably a last man on your staff reliever in that. And the Yankees also got Scott Effross.
Oh, yeah, from the Cubs.
Who in his Twitter bio and his Twitter banner, which is not your profile picture, but the banner is Seinfeld related.
Is it really?
And so he's a big Seinfeld fan. George Costanza famously being the assistant to the traveling secretary for the Yankees. So maybe he's happy.
Maybe. I'm sure he is.
To be in New York. Fun. And I saw New York media having a fun time with him going to New York as well. That's, I guess, the Oakland trade. You got any more on the Oakland trade?
No, I mean, I think you're right. Now that I'm looking at it, they might have gotten swindled.
They also got, I forgot to mention, the Yankees also got reliever Lee Trevino. Lee Trevino's a golfer, who is currently having the worst statistical season of his career, amassing
But he's had some good years. I mean...
maybe
with being on the Yankees, a new scenery could help him.
Says he's amassed a 6.47 ERA in 39 appearances this year with Oakland. There's something in here. Oh, well, let's read about the Yankees first. This is from Andy McCulloch, a national MLB writer. Earlier in the summer, the rotation looked like the backbone of the Yankees' historic pace. The structure took some hits as Jameson Taillon stumbled, and Luis Severino has now injured his shoulder and is on the IL, not to come back till September, right?
I think so.
With Nestor Cortez shouldering the most onerous workload of his career, it was reasonable for the Yankees to pursue a sidekick for number 1 starter Garrett Cole. I'm trying to find where it talks about Trevino, but I can't find. Oh, here we go. Trevino. This is from.
Trevino's 30, also.
This is from Lindsey Adler, who is the Yankees beat writer
for the Athletic.
For the Athletic. Okay. Trevino throws up to 6 pitches as a reliever, which seems like an area for simplification for the right-hander. He's been pretty unlucky. His FIP, which I have no idea what that is 3.84, so why read it, I suppose. But if anyone knows what FIP is, it's 3.84.
They were, and I know we'll probably get to him later, but a lot of the Cardinals writers were throwing out Jose Quintana's FIP.
Look up what FIP is while I read this. His FIP is 3.84 this season, and the gap between his ERA and expected ERA, based on StatCast data, is the 9th biggest difference among qualified pitchers this season. So I guess if you need something to throw into a trade, that is not a terrible thing to have if you look at his expected ERA versus what his actual ERA is. So there's a lot of positivity there. Frankie Montas going, what is FIP?
Okay, so FIP is like ERA, but it focuses solely on the events a pitcher has the most control over: strikeouts, unintentional walks, hit by pitches, and home runs.
Wow,
so
it's
it's called
good.
Fielding independent pitching.
That's pretty good, actually, then. So, so the ERA in that case looks like it's
So it's
flying a little
basically
bit.
he was playing on a terrible team.
Yeah,
a terrible defensive team.
The biggest concern, it seems like, for Yankees beat writers and people that were assessing the trade is that Montas goes from a very pitcher-friendly ballpark where you can mask a lot of mistakes to Yankee Stadium, which now has a Little League right field, according to, who was that?
That was the Rangers manager.
That's right, that said it was a Little League fence and right. It's certainly a more hitter-friendly ballpark. The Orioles trade Trey Mancini to the Astros as they also get Christian Vasquez. Mancini fills a power vacuum for the Astros, who have not received the production expected from the Yuli monster, Yuli Gurriel. So now you have 2 guys that are DHing and first base. In 92 games this season, Mancini has a slash line of 268, 347, and 404 with 10 home runs. He's a pending free agent at the end of the year. He's 30 years old. He's probably going to make a lot of money given his DH stature. But more importantly, he battled stage 3 cancer, and he was a little teary-eyed yesterday as he said goodbye to the Orioles staff in that regard. There's a bunch of other people, including that trade, Bryant. Who else was it?
Well, this was a 3-team trade between the Astros, Rays, and Orioles. I don't really know why the Rays were in it, but the Astros got Trey Mancini, like you said. The Rays got Jose Siri from the Astros.
Center fielder, who they need, because Kevin Kiermaier got hurt earlier this year, so they need a center fielder.
And, the Astros also got 25-year-old right-handed pitcher Jaden Murray. And then the O's got right-handed pitcher Seth Johnson, a 23-year-old. He was the number 6 prospect in the Rays organization. And then right-handed pitcher Chase McDermott.
Murray, I saw in a 6-start stretch, his last 6 starts in July, 6 earned runs, opponents hitting 181 against him over 32 and 2/3 innings. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. He's spent a lot of time lately in AAA. He started the season in AA, was really good in AA. Also, after that trade happened, the Rays DFA'd Brett Phillips.
Wow, really? Mm-hmm. The Orioles also got Christian Vasquez, like we mentioned, from the
Red Sox
yesterday. Before I get to this other trade, the Red Sox also the Astros also got traded. We talked about Will Smith trading Jake Odorizzi for Will Smith, so the Astros very busy yesterday. And then last but not least, when we talk about the Red Sox, they got Tommy Pham.
Yeah, which that was weird. Did you see when that trade started when it was reported?
They knew they wanted to trade Tommy Pham. They just didn't know which
team was going to get him. Tommy Pham has been traded. Team has not been announced yet. I was like, what does that even mean?
I love it.
And then it was like, hey, he's going to the Red Sox for I think it was like a throwaway player and then a player to be named later.
Well, we knew we wanted to get rid of this guy. We just didn't know where we wanted him to go. Last but certainly not least, we'll talk about the Cardinals and Jose Quintana in a minute because we want to talk about Juan Soto stuff, I'm sure, as well. Mm-hmm. The Brewers trade all-star closer Josh Hader to the Padres. In return, they get a left-handed closer, but just relieved of his closing duties in San Diego, Taylor Rogers, brother of Trevor Rogers, and Robert Gasser, right-hander Dinelson Lamet, and outfielder Esteury Ruiz. Hader has a league-leading 29 saves with a 4.24 ERA, 59 strikeouts, and 34 innings pitched this year. Hader is really good.
Really good.
It's
had a bad July, but
not a great July, but it's pretty much unprecedented. Here's what Dennis Lynn, Padres beat writer, says: "You don't often see contenders swap closers in the middle of a playoff chase, much less closers with nearly identical numbers. Hader has a 4.24 ERA and a league-leading 29 saves. Rogers has a 4.35 ERA and 28 saves. both lefties have performed poorly over the last month. So kind of an even trade there. But the Brewers have a kicker because they also have Devin Williams, who
I was about to bring that up,
who is just as good and this year maybe better than Josh Hader, dominant. They believe, and I heard rumors, maybe it was reports I saw, but I heard read people talking that Josh Hader, they were pitching him 2 innings, and he had recently gone to him and said, I'm not pitching 2 innings anymore. I'm only pitching 1. So maybe they felt handcuffed in that regard, and so maybe getting Taylor Rogers helps you there. Maybe has less of an ego when it comes to closing. He's not nearly as dominant over the past few seasons as Josh Hader is. Josh Hader probably been the best closer in baseball over the past 3 years, right?
Oh, and he's been awesome. And he's been awesome this year. His ERA right now is 4.24, which as a closer probably not fantastic. But when you look at it through the first 2 months, he had a 0 ERA and only gave up 4 hits, and then kind of gave up some hits in June, gave up some runs in June, and then last month, July, was kind of bad. But all in all, it's been fantastic.
Under club control until 2023 Hader.
Yeah.
They also get Dinelson Lamet, who was dominant in 2020 in a shortened season, bottomed out this year with a 9+ ERA, but he was really good in 2020. He finished top 10 inside, maybe top 5.
Yeah, he was a Cy Young candidate.
Cy Young candidate, so really good. They also get a few minor leaguers as well. Keith Law, who we just mentioned a minute ago for The Athletic, talks about a lot of prospects. He says it feels like a pretty strong trade both ways. The Padres get a really strong closer, which they needed with the back end of that bullpen struggling. You get Josh Hader, who, like we said, all-star closer, been one of the most dominant closers in baseball. And the Brewers get to open the door a little bit for Devin Williams and also get Taylor Rogers, who has high upside as well. So those are the biggest trades from yesterday, it seems like. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Jose Quintana. We also have some potential trades the Cardinals might make for Juan Soto.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
When you think about insurance and you want great value without sacrificing great service, I want you to think one place: the Eflin Insurance and the entire Eflin Insurance team. Matt and his group of professionals will access 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your budget and your absolute needs. The Eflin Insurance team, the number 386-GER, 386-4777.
Hi, folks. Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, and I'm excited. I just returned from the largest jewelry show of the year and the first really big international market since COVID turned our world upside down. The new merchandise is coming in almost every day, and it is magnificent. Whether you're looking for a beautiful diamond engagement ring or a bracelet set with fabulous sapphires, come see the endless possibilities. Maybe a fabulous ruby necklace or a pair of earrings set with sparkling green emeralds. There's a stunning selection waiting just for you. And I invite you to take advantage of our 37 years in business right here in Memphis. Come see what you get when you combine beauty and value, quality and service in a fine jewelry store. What you get is Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. I'm Bill Russell, and I invite you to join thousands of Memphians who call Russell Brothers their personal jewelers. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
Gabe?
Okay, here's the idea.
Well, let's just jump right in.
A Central Barbecue race.
What are you talking about?
We race to see which one of us can go to each of the 4 Central Barbecue locations and eat at each one faster.
You mean eat at all 4 in one day?
As fast as you can.
Does everything have to be a competition with you?
Life is a competition, my friend, and this way we get to compete and eat.
That seems like a lot of food.
Do you want to be a winner or not?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Well, you're not going to be. There can only be one winner of the Great Central Barbecue Race, and that's going to be me.
The Great Central Barbecue Race, so you've already named it.
Named it? I've already printed posters.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
For the first time in history, the FedEx Cup playoffs will begin at TPC Southwind August 10th through 14th. Don't miss your chance to watch the top 125 players from the FedEx Cup standings compete for the PGA Tour's ultimate prize, the FedEx Cup. Only 70 players will make it through Memphis and on to the next round of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Daily grounds and upgraded ticket options are on sale now at FedExChampionship.com.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
So Cardinals get Jose Quintana from the Pirates.
Called it.
I did say it yesterday. I'm not getting enough credit for that, Brian.
You're not.
People didn't tweet me in bunches yesterday calling me a genius. Yeah. I got no offers to be GM.
On the Athletic or anything. Oh, GM.
Or Athletic. But I meant that anywhere in the front office.
I thought you were as like a reporter, like breaking news, so that's what you're doing.
I could be assistant to the traveling secretary. No, I wasn't even reporting, Brian. I was just saying.
You were saying.
If I was doing it, that's what I would do.
I see.
And that's what they did.
You didn't say Jose Quintana is going to be a Cardinal, book it. You said, if I was in the GM shoes
if it were me,
I would trade for him.
So they traded for Johan Oviedo, who you were sad about.
Not really. I not really.
And Malcolm Nunez.
He's been in. Has he been up to AAA yet? I don't even remember.
It doesn't.
I think
appear
he's mainly been in AA.
Quintana's 33, 3-5 this year, but on a bad team. We always talk about with Nolan Ryan.
His FIP is really good too. A lot of people were talking
really?
about it. I don't remember exactly what it was.
3.50 ERA in 20 games this season. All of them starts. Quintana struck out 89 batters in 103 innings, averaging slightly more than 5 innings per outing. He's walked less than 8% of the batters he's faced. And while the Cardinals were looking to upgrade the amount of strikeouts their starters generate, Quintana does keep the ball on the ground to feed the Cardinals' defense, the best defense in baseball, certainly in the National League. He brings a 12 2/3 scoreless streak into his next start for the Cardinals, and 5 of his 20 starts have been quality starts. Quintana also, at this point, after coming from the Pirates, has played for 3 of the teams in the NL Central.
Yeah. Knows the division.
Mr. NL Central.
Mr. Trade deadlines, which you said last night.
That's what I was coming up. See, this is why I didn't want to tell you my great lines.
I would break it before you did.
Yeah,
I'm a reporter, sorry.
So I call him Mr. Trade Deadline because a couple years ago when he was traded across Chicago.
Yeah.
Because he played for the White Sox. He was traded to the Cubs at the trade deadline. This was 2018, I think.
Around there.
It was whatever year Yohan Moncada got called up. 18, 19?
Might have been 19.
Either way. He was traded at the deadline for that, and this is the second big deadline deal, it seems like, even though he's just on a rental right now. So they get Jose Quintana. He finished 10th in the Cy Young Award voting in 6 years ago. So that's 2016.
Yes.
He finished 6th in Cy Young for the White Sox at that time. So a good pitcher. I've really enjoyed watching this year.
He's been good.
I bet on him a lot this year.
So a lot of people probably remember he had one really, really good outing this year against the Yankees. He had a really good outing against the Yankees. You remember that they only got like one hit, I think, on him?
Yeah.
And so that was really good. I think a lot of people remember that. So I'm hoping he can come in. I also saw yesterday that he can pitch after today, any day. Since he pitched last Friday. So that's good. Put him in there.
So he's got plenty of rest then.
Plenty of rest.
We were about to talk about how Jim Bowden has potential trades for Juan Soto. Jeff Passan just tweets the San Diego Padres are finalizing a deal to acquire superstar outfielder Juan Soto from Washington. It does not have any reporting on who those players are that will be included in that.
It'll probably be similar to what was reported, because I've seen that a lot. I think that's going to be what it probably is.
Jim Bowden, either way. He works for The Athletic. He's been pretty spot on with a lot of this trade stuff. He says, here is my best guess on what the actual return for Juan Soto will be. I guess if we just waited just a couple of minutes, we'd give you exactly what it is, but we'll read this regardless. Padres give up Hassel the third. Wood. You see, there's his last name. It's hard to even tell. Wood,
I haven't pulled up.
Abrams, Merrill, Morahan, and Susanna.
Which
and they get back,
talked a lot about Susanna.
And they get back Soto, Bell, and Finnegan.
Well, and this doesn't specify if I'm sure Bell and Finnegan are both in
it
this
seems
deal.
like Jeff Passan wanted to make sure he got the news out first.
Yes, it looks like, and also John Heyman also reported it. Both just said Juan Soto. It looks like classic journalism where you just have to get the news out there to be first.
Okay, here we go. 5 minutes ago, John Morosi, who you liked, he works for MLB Network.
Yeah.
Nats are set to receive C.J. Abrams, outfielder Robert Hassel III.
Who's their top prospect?
Outfielder James Wood, not the actor.
Third prospect.
That's James Woods. Right-handed pitcher Jarlin Susanna for Juan Soto and Josh Bell. So
wow.
Finnegan, I don't see. That's what I saw this morning is just Soto and Bell, Finnegan not included.
Wow, so that's not as much as what was being reported that they were going to have to give up.
What do you mean?
I guess maybe with Finnegan in there, because
right.
it looks like they were going to have to add two more at least one or two more prospects on top of that to get this deal off.
All of this reporting is largely speculative, too.
Because I also saw Jackson Merrill in there, and maybe one more. Maybe that was it. But
Those are names that have been included a lot. But all of this is largely speculative to the point that it's hard to know what's being discussed and what's being negotiated because a lot of this stuff is closed door anyway. I'm a little disappointed right now, to be quite frank, that the Cardinals didn't get him. But I know
we talked about it yesterday, how aggressive San Diego's front office was going to be in this, and it sure seems that they have been the most aggressive team from the start, especially there were rumors last night that the Dodgers were in there.
This might be exactly right then. I don't know if these are the names. This is, according to Jeff Passan, this is exactly who is traded. Left-handed pitcher Mackenzie Gore, outfielder Robert Hassel III, shortstop C.J. Abrams, outfielder James Wood, not the actor, and right-handed pitcher Jarlin Susanna, and one more major league player. That's the only holdup right now.
That's a way bigger haul.
That's the only holdup right now is who that player is, but the deal is agreed upon.
And Mackenzie Gore, is he still on the IL?
It's not a question that I have the answer to. Google
I know
probably
he was,
has the answer
yeah.
to it. All this stuff is largely speculative. It seems like a lot of the stuff broke down in that the Cardinals weren't putting Carlson on any of the trades with somebody else, right? It was partnered with somebody else. I can't remember who it was.
Was it
Carlson
heard,
and Gorman?
This was who was it? John
Heyman.
No. This was somebody else was reporting it last night that they weren't willing to put him with prospects. It didn't say him and somebody else. Carlson and prospects. That it was either we're going to give you like 4 prospects or we'll give you Carlson and maybe like 1 prospect. But we're not going to give you like 4 prospects. We're not going to give you Gorman, Liberatore, Jordan Walker, and Carlson.
This is an absolute shame. I guess not if you're a Padres fan. Though.
Man, Padres are about to be a really, really good team.
So they...
especially when they get Tatis back.
Yeah, no kidding. So they get... I'm still kind of shell-shocked.
You're disappointed.
I'm very disappointed. So the Padres last year tried to make a deal at the deadline with the Nationals, trying to get Scherzer and Trey Turner. Couldn't get it done
because the Dodgers came, but they were in the driver's seat for a long time,
and they do get it done this time. When the Dodgers have been kind of dark horse candidates over the past 24 hours, especially, almost
a lot of momentum
in my mind, surpassing the Cardinals in the last 24 hours as someone that I thought might get the deal done. But the Padres give up enough, get the deal done at 10:54. Central Time.
Which way earlier than I thought.
I thought it was going to be kind of a end of the day sort of deal. That's unbelievable. And they get Josh Bell, too. So now they got Machado, you got Tatis Jr., you got, golly, that team is good.
That's going to be so good.
Well, the Cardinals at least got Jose Quintana.
Yeah. I mean, do they make any more moves? I mean, there's not many other bats available.
I don't know what else you do. I think they made their deal yesterday. You keep your prospects. That's what they look at. They're not going to make a deal in the offseason, even though I want them to. You have DeGrom says he's going to walk away from his deal. Now what happens with Arenado, I suppose we'll see in terms of what will happen there.
That is disappointing if you're a Cardinals fan.
So last thing before we go, Padres officially get Juan Soto and Josh Bell deadline.
The summer clearance sale is happening now at Family Leisure. You can get up to $2,000 off on a swimming pool. Yes, you heard me. $2,000 off on swimming pools. Get it installed in 2022, you'll be ready for summer 2023. Plus, if you are more of a do-it-yourselfer, Family Leisure has specials that are just too good to pass up, with free ladder upgrades and a whole season worth of chemicals. No one else can offer that kind of deal. Looking for patio furniture? In-stock sets are up to 30% off. Play gyms and trampolines, you can get up to $1,000 off with free installation. We don't know how long these hot temperatures will last, but we do know these prices will not. So take advantage of the summer clearance sale. It's